G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Going to do just a little bit of a different video, extra one this week with the short week, obviously Easter Monday into the gather round this week. I thought I'd just do my thoughts on a few of the hot topics. I know we released the podcast last night, but yeah, just a few recent news after that as well. Obviously Doherty, coming out as injured, so I'll speak about some replacements there. Some rookies, I'll speak on a couple of those. We're looking at trading in and possibly ones that you're going to have to trade out to get them if you want them. And then some maybe just philosophy on what I think most of us should be doing in particularly this week, and preparing for the coming weeks. I've broken my old road, so yeah, just as I was getting to record this, I've tugged on the stand and popped the connection point out, and it's not connecting anymore, so there goes a road down the drain. And I managed to find out this, pick out the old blue snowball. And it actually fit on the stand, so we'll take that. It'll have to do for now. Hopefully it sounds alright. But I'll probably just roll with it if it's fine for now. Don't really see the point in getting another mic, but the road was good. Anyway, so gather around, there's a few things to think about this week. Obviously, we've got a Thursday night game at Adelaide Oval. Doherty, I guess we'll get him out the way first. I was very fortunate to sort of jump off him in round 2, seeing that I had to get Nick Dacos in at that point. So I made the move pretty easily. I didn't really think twice about it, knowing how much of a must-have Nick was, so that was very lucky to do that and avoid a couple of poor scores back-to-back, and then the injury obviously forcing him to be traded out 4 to 6 weeks, I think, with a meniscus. So as you can see, yeah, pretty much every owner, I think you can just see that, is trading him out, which makes sense. So guess it's we'll get to see how many active managers or coaches there are by the amount of trade outs with Doc this week, because obviously everyone who has him should be trading him. Now, who to go to? It's a tough one. Will Day would have been the top of people's lists before the suspension, so he's come out with they've come out with a 2-week ban for him for his dangerous tackle. They'll probably challenge it. So he's definitely going to get one, obviously, at least, and then depends if the two will be upheld. So it'd be interesting to see what Hawthorn do probably tomorrow morning. But that's sort of off the table now. Obviously, as a trade-in option, we'll filter by defenders. I think I'll probably start with maybe who I like under his price point. For those that only want to use one trade, it is a bit of a hard one looking at the options here, but Mason Redman would be the top of a few people's lists, probably around the mark for me as well. Other than him, he's in a hell of a lot. Like, it is tough to really nail down on one of these as at least going to be around the top 8 mark, for 500k or so. Damrioli's another one. So look, if Will Day was there, I would have said, yep, you can do him. He's got 80% CBAs in the weekend, and at least in the short term, he'd make you some money and has a good role. That could change, whatnot. He's pretty injury prone. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think it would be Mason Redman. But I think you've got to make another trade that you're probably already doing anyway, and getting a rookie like a Van Rooyen or Sampson, who we'll speak about later. But that's what I'll be doing. So you can get Doc up to someone who's more proven, who's much more likely to be top 6, and then go that way. So I'll talk about rookies later and which ones I'd say you can trade out if you need to. But obviously top of the list would be Dawson. If you don't have him, look, paying $620 isn't great, and he's going to be higher than that for at least 2 or 3 weeks more. So getting him now, if you really desperately wanted him, you could, but that's going to cost you like 100k. So I don't like that. Adam Sard would be my number 1, lower than that. I know there's Tom Stewart about, and I think 570. I think he's about 92 average, so he's about 570. It'd be Stewart or Sard for me. I know Sinclair's out there, Sicily's out there. I think, they're going to drop a bit more in price, so I think you can have them as a future target. And then I'd pick between Sard and Stewart if I was to go up a bit. So, they're going to cost you 50, 60k for Sard. Because I think that, I don't really like going to Dawson for, an extra 40k. That 40k could come in handy for your next upgrade as well. And then, there's possibilities of Dawson getting some attention after, how dominant he's been to start the year. So I like one of those two, probably Stewart or Sard. If I had to pick, I like Sard. I really do, with Doc out as well. I mean, he's been doing 107, 108 for almost a year and a half now. So, did 102 last year. I think he had a bit of a slow start. But since, about third way through that season in 2022, he's been monstering. And he's going to go big again on Good Friday, but he slowed up in the second half. I think he was on 70 and half time. So, Doc replacements, that's where I'd go. A few people trading out McKenzie and Warple. I don't really have an opinion on Jones. I didn't really like starting him. If you've got him now, surely you probably hold, doesn't he? 36 break even. Look, do what you want there. I don't know what you would be doing. There's not really defender rookies. Tyler Young, that's it. McKenzie, he's going to get an uptick with that day news in centre mid-time, you would think. So, really low the last 2 weeks. That's got to come up somewhat. Warple, I don't think the upside's too big with him. He's already at least 50-60%, so maybe he gets to 70, but you can either trade him or hold. I don't have an opinion there. But McKenzie's someone you'll probably want to field now. I have fielded him the last 2 weeks. We got pretty lucky against North, I'd say. Had 8 or 9 tackles, but yesterday it wasn't too great. But hopefully get some more mid-time coming the next 2 weeks, at least one. And then everyone else trading out some other rookies. Yeah, this is where I'd say. So Philippu's an interesting one. He's slowed up a little bit, but he's still pumping out a couple of 60s. So I'd keep hold of him. I think he has more potential. Alwyn Davies one, I think if he was your worst and you wanted someone to move on to grab that extra, 50, 60k to get Doc up to someone, he's the one I'd be okay parting ways with. Now, he does have some more money to make. If he used to score 50s the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'd get an extra 40k out of him. But he did have a shoulder knock, came off. Essendon have a couple of tougher matchups coming, Melbourne and Collingwood, so I don't hate getting rid of him if he's your worst rookie. So you can get Doc up to someone more enticing. Now, rookies that are coming in, obviously the main guy, I'll get rid of defender status here, is Van Rooyen. I think he's great. I think, D's highly rate him. He's been, spending a year in the VFL. Everyone knows the story by now. And he looked really good the first 2 weeks of his AFL career. Jumps at the ball well, competes, does some ruck time as well for him. Follows up with a couple of tackles as well. So that's good stuff. Question is, Gawn's listed as 1 to 2 weeks now, so he's tracking very well. Brown's a test for this week, so it'd be interesting to see the team sheets, what happens there. It'd be good to know if Brown's fit and available, and then Van Rooyen still keeps his spot ahead of like a Petty or even a McDonald. But it does get a little bit dicey, or it feels a little bit dicey knowing that Gawn. Look, they want to be cautious with him, but if he's fit and ready to go, he's not going to hold himself out. He's the captain of the club, and he'll want to play. Whether he just comes in and manages himself in-game, like doesn't go back to majority ruck, keep Grundy as the more ruck time during those games and just play more forward. I think that's what we'll probably see when he comes back, but he's not just going to hold out completely and not play if he's fit and ready to go, which they're saying could be as early as next week. So it makes me nervous on Van Rooyen a little bit. Probably want to get 3 or 4 games out of him to rise in. So the fact that could only be 1 or 2 does concern me a little bit, but they do love him. So there could be every reason they just push McDonald, Petty out the way and keep playing the kid. So that'll be interesting to see. And then the other one for me, the big one is Samson Ryan. He doesn't really show up here because his break even's actually it's about 20. So yeah, where is it? 19. But he's going to get a lot more ruck time than what he's been getting. So that'll tick up to probably, I'd say 40%. If not, it could be 50%. I expect Ben Miller to come in and help share that load because we don't really have anyone else at the moment. Nate down, Biggie Newen down. We have other ruckmen that just probably weren't ready to play AFL anyway that aren't fit. And then Soldo is the one who is still listed as a few weeks away and dealing with a pretty bad foot injury, the plantar fasciitis or whatever you want to call it, but that's a pretty bad injury. So, they have to put something out there, list him as 2 to 3 weeks or whatever it is. I think it was 3 to 5 last week. So look, it's still up in the air when he's going to be back, and that's an injury that really they're only going to know in how he responds and how he recovers. So it's not really something you can just put an exact time frame on. So I think the next couple of weeks, Samson's pretty fieldable, and that's probably the way I'm going to lean. And look, unfortunately, it costs 30k more, but that's the way I'd be going. So yeah, for instance, if you had Davey and you wanted to get one of those in, I would be going Samson. And obviously, the way I'm set up here, I have to push forward to the midfield to get him and do that. Which I don't actually hate too much, because maybe if you have a Madden, you can loop these players. So look, that does only get you, I think I had 4k, 35k in the bank. That does, hopefully you've got some cash in the bank. I think you'd just be able to get Stewart if you had maybe 5 or 10,000 in the bank to add on top of that. So there's a possibility there, or there's obviously Sard, as I said. And I'm okay fielding Samson, so I'll probably have the opportunity, or I will, to possibly loop him. So he plays fairly early this round. See how he goes against Sydney. If it's great, I'll put Madden here, take the score and whatnot. And if not, I can choose to field Radaglia or Fergus Green, depending what I'm feeling. Don't know what I'd go there, to be honest, but we'll get to that when needs be. But that's what I'd do. So I'll be able to take Samson's score. Then hopefully try and, I'll be looping Wilmot too, but try and see if I can use the C there elsewhere, or if I don't, obviously roll with the captain's young English. But that's what I'd be keen to do, and Samson should get a decent amount of ruck time for 2 or 3 weeks until Soldo's fit, but who knows when that'll be, or if not, it'll just keep rolling along with him and Ben Miller. So look, he's raw, don't expect massive scores, but I think he did decently in the VFL with some ruck time in the last year or so. A few games at 80s and 90s fantasy, so look, don't expect that in the AFL. But Sydney's not the hardest matchup this week. Laddams is okay, he's going to be stronger than him, of course, but after that, obviously Grundy's not great, but if Witts is back, also not great. But then maybe if he gets to West Coast and he's still getting some ruck time, that'll be a decent matchup for him against BJ, and then whatever Geelong's putting out, that's an okay matchup as well. So yeah, I don't mind having him, and obviously it forces me fielding one here, and I'll have to bench someone here. My other option is I don't trade Davey and I trade Warple instead, who probably has to go at some point anyway. So if I was to do that, then it wouldn't matter too much, and I can just do that instead, and I bank a bit of cash. Just look, personally for my team, it's probably what I'm leaning towards at this stage, because I keep 200k in the bank. I can toss up on a second trade if I just want to be aggressive. I can go Setterfield to someone like a Tuke Miller, be aggressive, get him in this week. Only concern is he has Freo, and Aish did just tag last week on Laird, so that's something I might be hesitant with. But if we go back to him here, they've got a really good matchup or run coming soon with North, Richmond, Melbourne. North and Richmond, and then West Coast after Melbourne. So that's a nice little block there. Freo's a good matchup too. If they're not tagging, that would be good. But they could, and they probably will, I would suspect. So that's something I might just sit on with the 200k. And then next week, say Setterfield goes well, it doesn't have to be him. Hopper might go poorly, and it can be him up, and then someone like a Baker who should be 250-ish next week down, get 100k there, and I have about 330 or something to whack on top of Hopper. Maybe someone else like an Ashcroft, Jimby, whatever. We'll have to play by ear what the rookies are doing, but I'll be able to do that in 2 trades and still hold on to my 4 boosts, and then probably start boosting after that, in round 6, round 7. Attack guys like Laird. I know Sinclair's dropping. Obviously for you guys who don't have Sicily, stuff, guys like that, and start playing really aggressive. So I have a few options this week. That's probably the one trade that's set, or probably Samson Ryan's what's set and coming in. It's who's going out is my question. Is it Davey? Is it Warple? Do I just go with him? Or do I keep him for, a decent Giants matchup with some more mid-time with knowing that Will Day's out for at least 1 or 2? We'll have to wait and see. But that's where I sit with a few of the things. I don't think there's anything else I've missed with some important players. A lot of people are trying to get Dawson, Stewart. Max McClaney's an interesting one. I think it's sailed. Look, obviously he got an 80 and he cycled for 1 more week, 100 for 2. He's already made 100k. Can he get to somewhere close to 400? I think it's possible. Is it likely? I don't think it is. You might get 100 out of him, 100k that is, and then sort of stall there. So unfortunately, I think most of us have missed that, but fair few people are jumping on. Grundy, I wouldn't be getting him in now. You've missed a really good score against West Coast. It's 540k, and Gawn's around the corner. So if you're one of these people, I wouldn't be getting Grundy. Jess is obviously real hot at the moment, and then English, sort of everyone's just... I mean, he's going to be 700k soon. It's just crazy to think. But yeah, Luke Ryan I didn't mention, actually, the fourth highest player. He's just supposedly got a bit of a knee complaint and may not even get up this week. There's always something wrong with him every year at some point, whether that's a dip in form or an injury. He always seems to find something. So that's how I'm looking now. Obviously not totally set on who's going out, but maybe it is Warple, and you know, if I don't see Aish in the team, or you know, I'm confident they won't tag, maybe Setters goes to him, but I think Setters can still get a decent score or two out of him, you know, until it's time to go. But look, his break-even's shot up now to mid-80s, so if he doesn't perform, then it's really going to go up and maybe be a must trade out next week. So that's part of my thinking. You know, if he doesn't go well, he might have to go anyway. So do I just be aggressive and try and grab an extra premium score this week? It's something I'm thinking about. So probably going Clarion to English at this stage, but that's the way I'm thinking. We get some DPP editions next week. Probably get to put Rosie back in the forward line, shift Sheasel back, get one of these guys off field, and then hopefully someone like a Chincotta can get a game for Carlton, which we'll find out tomorrow. And then I think Sturt will play for Freo as well. So hopefully there's some rookie downgrades coming. And maybe even Will Gould might get a game for Sydney at this rate. So anyway, a bit of a ramble, my thoughts for this week. And yeah, let me know what you're thinking of doing this week, what you think of those sort of opinions that I've got of some of those players, who you're going, if you're a doc owner, who you're trading him to. And then who's your preferred choice out of Samson, Ryan and Van Rooyen this week. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like pulling out the coupe at the lot.